She built an empire just to destroy him until love became her greatest revenge. Part 1: The Betrayal That Changed Everything. The perfect evening. Emma Laurent stood in front of her bedroom mirror, smoothing down her emerald green dress. Tonight was supposed to be perfect. The annual architecture gala was just hours away, and she would finally present her revolutionary design to the board. 3 years of late nights, countless revisions, and pure determination had led to this moment. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus: "Can't wait to celebrate with you tonight, my love. You're going to change the world." Emma smiled, touching the diamond ring on her finger. Marcus Blackwell, senior partner at Blackwell & Associates, the man she would marry in 3 months. Life couldn't be better. She grabbed her portfolio containing the final design presentation. The building concept was revolutionary: a sustainable skyscraper that could generate its own power, filter rainwater, and reduce carbon emissions by 70%. It was her masterpiece, her gift to the world. Emma's best friend Sophia had helped her prepare the presentation slides last week. Sweet, supportive Sophia, who had been by her side since college. Emma felt blessed to have such wonderful people in her life. The gala. The grand ballroom sparkled with crystal chandeliers and elegant decorations. Emma arrived early, her portfolio clutched against her chest. She saw Marcus across the room, talking with board members. He looked handsome in his tailored black suit, his dark hair perfectly styled. He caught her eye and winked. Emma's heart fluttered. "Emma." Sophia appeared beside her, stunning in a red dress. "You look amazing. Are you ready for your big presentation?" Nervous but excited, Emma admitted. "Don't be. You're brilliant." Sophia squeezed her hand. "I need to grab a drink. See you in a bit?" Emma nodded, watching her friend disappear into the crowd. She made her way toward the presentation hall to set up her materials. The hallway leading to the conference room was quiet, away from the party noise. Emma was about to enter when she heard voices inside. Marcus's voice. "Everything is set for tomorrow," Marcus said. "The board will love the sustainable tower design." Emma smiled. He was talking about her presentation. Then another voice. Sophia's voice. "You're sure she won't suspect anything?" Sophia asked. Emma froze, her hand on the doorknob. "Emma?" Marcus laughed. "She's too trusting. Too in love. She has no idea I've been copying every file from her laptop for months." Emma's blood turned cold. "And the engagement?" Sophia's voice was sharp, jealous. "A means to an end, darling," Marcus replied smoothly. "Once I present her design as my own tomorrow, I'll get the promotion to head partner. The contract is worth billions. Then I can quietly end things with Emma and we can finally be together." Emma felt the world tilt beneath her feet. "You promise?" Sophia's voice softened. "You promise you'll leave her?" "I promise. She was always just a stepping stone. You're the one I really want." The sound of kissing followed. Emma's hand flew to her mouth, stifling a gasp. She stumbled backward, her portfolio slipping from her numb fingers. Papers scattered across the marble floor. The shattering. Emma ran. She ran through the hallway, past surprised guests, out into the cold night air. Her heels clicked frantically on the pavement as tears blurred her vision. She didn't stop until she reached her apartment, slamming the door behind her. Her chest heaved as sobs racked her body. She collapsed onto the floor, still wearing her emerald dress, mascara streaming down her face. Everything was a lie. The love, the support, the friendship. All of it, carefully constructed manipulation. Marcus had used her. Sophia had betrayed her. And tomorrow, he would steal her life's work and claim it as his own. The board would believe him. He was the senior partner, the respected architect. She was just the junior designer, the naive girl who had trusted too much. Emma pulled off her engagement ring and stared at it. this symbol of false promises, of calculated deception. She wanted to throw it across the room, but instead, she set it carefully on the coffee table. Her phone buzzed repeatedly. Messages from Marcus, where are you? Emma, answer me. Are you okay? She turned off her phone. The decision. Emma didn't sleep that night. She sat by her window, watching the city lights, thinking. By dawn, something inside her had shifted. The pain was still there, raw and burning. But beneath it, something else grew. Something cold and sharp. Anger. Determination. Purpose. She wouldn't let them destroy her. She wouldn't let Marcus steal her work and get away with it. She wouldn't let Sophia's betrayal go unanswered. But she also knew she couldn't fight them now. Not here, not like this. Marcus had power, connections, resources. If she accused him, he would crush her. He probably had already copied her files, prepared to claim the work as his own. Emma stood and walked to her desk. She opened her laptop and began deleting everything. Every file, every design, every note. If he had copied them, fine. But she wouldn't leave anything else for him to steal. Then she started packing. One suitcase. Essentials only. Her passport. Her savings account information. Her backup hard drives with encrypted copies of all her original work. She wouldn't stay and watch them win. She would leave. Disappear. And she would rebuild herself into something stronger, something untouchable. And one day, she would return. Not as the naive girl they had used and discarded, but as their worst nightmare. The departure. Emma left her apartment key on the counter. She left the engagement ring beside it. She took one last look at the space that had been her home for 3 years, then walked out without looking back. At the bank, she withdrew everything from her savings account. At the phone store, she bought a new phone with a new number. At the airport, she booked a one-way ticket to London. As the plane lifted off, Emma pressed her forehead against the window, watching her city grow smaller below. Somewhere down there, Marcus was probably realizing she was gone. He would try to find her. They both would. Let them try. Emma Laurent was dead. The girl who believed in love, who trusted blindly, who let people use her kindness as a weapon. That girl was gone. In her place, something new was being born. Someone harder, smarter, more ruthless. Emma closed her eyes and let herself feel everything. The pain, the rage, the betrayal. She let it sink deep into her bones, let it forge her into steel. When she opened her eyes again, they were dry. Cold. Calculating. Marcus Blackwell had made the biggest mistake of his life. He had underestimated her. He thought she was weak, easy to manipulate, easy to discard. He would learn otherwise. Emma wouldn't just recover from this. She would rise. She would build an empire. And when she was powerful enough, untouchable enough, she would return. And then, she would make them both pay for every lie, every betrayal, every moment of pain they had caused. This wasn't the end of her story. This was just the beginning. The plane cut through the clouds, carrying Emma toward her new life. Behind her, the past burned. Ahead, the future waited. And Emma Laurent was ready to seize it with both hands. 5 years of silence. Marcus stood in his corner office, staring at the city below. 5 years had passed since Emma disappeared. 5 years since he'd made the biggest mistake of his life. The presentation had gone as planned. The board loved the sustainable tower design. He got the promotion, the contract, the money. Everything he thought he wanted. But Emma had vanished without a trace. No forwarding address, no social media presence, no contact with mutual friends. It was as if she had never existed. And something about her disappearance haunted him. He told himself he should be relieved. The loose end was gone. He could move forward with his life. But late at night, He thought about her face when she smiled, the way she talked about architecture with such passion, the trust in her eyes when she looked at him. He married Sophia 6 months after Emma left. The wedding was small, quick. Sophia had what she wanted. But the triumph felt hollow. Their marriage was cold. Loveless. They barely spoke outside of social obligations. Sophia spent his money and complained constantly. Marcus worked long hours to avoid going home. The success he'd achieved felt empty. The stolen design had launched his career to new heights, but every time someone praised the sustainable tower, guilt twisted in his gut. He'd tried to find Emma. Hired private investigators. Searched everywhere. Nothing. She had disappeared completely, as if the earth had swallowed her whole. Marcus turned from the window and looked at his desk. On it sat a news alert he'd received that morning. A new architecture firm had exploded onto the international scene. Morgan Architectural Dynasty. They'd just won the biggest contract of the decade, beating out his own firm. The CEO was a woman named Elena Morgan. The article included a photo. Marcus studied the image. The woman was stunning. Sleek dark hair, sharp business suit, confident posture. Something about her seemed familiar, but he couldn't place it. His phone buzzed. His secretary's voice, "Mr. Blackwell, the meeting with Morgan Architectural Dynasty is confirmed for next week. Ms. Morgan wants to discuss a potential partnership." "Thank you," Marcus said absently, still staring at the photo. A partnership with the rising star of the industry could save his firm, which had been struggling lately. Competition was fierce, and several bad investments had put them in a difficult position. Marcus set down the photo and smiled. Maybe his luck was finally changing. He had no idea that his past was about to walk back into his life. And when it did, it would bring a reckoning he never saw coming. Part 2, The Rise of a Queen. The Return. Elena Morgan stepped out of the black Mercedes, her Louboutin heels clicking against the pavement. The morning sun caught her tailored Armani suit, navy blue with subtle pinstripes. Her dark hair was pulled back in a sleek bun, her makeup flawless, understated yet powerful. She looked nothing like Emma Laurent. That was intentional. 5 years ago, Emma had been soft, trusting, eager to please. Elena was sharp edges and calculated moves. 5 years of working 18-hour days, of studying not just architecture but business, psychology, strategy. 5 years of building Morgan Architectural Dynasty from nothing into an empire. Ms. Morgan, her assistant David Chin appeared beside her, tablet in hand. "The Blackwell meeting is in 30 minutes. All materials are prepared." "Good." Elena's voice was calm, controlled. "And our backup plan?" "Ready if needed." David had been with her for 3 years. He was one of the few people who knew her real identity, who understood what this meeting really meant. Elena walked into the conference center where the meeting would take place. This was neutral ground, not Blackwell's office. She had insisted on it. She needed to control every element of this encounter. In the lobby, she caught her reflection in a glass wall. The woman staring back was unrecognizable from the girl who had fled 5 years ago. Good. Elena took a slow breath. This was it. The moment she'd been planning, building toward, dreaming about through countless sleepless nights. Today, she would face Marcus Blackwell again. And he wouldn't even know who she was. The meeting. The conference room was elegant, modern. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. Elena sat at the head of the table, David beside her, when the door opened. Marcus Blackwell entered, and Elena's heart stuttered despite her preparation. He looked older. Lines around his eyes, gray threading through his dark hair. Still handsome, still carrying that confident air that had once made her weak. Behind him came Sophia. Elena's jaw tightened imperceptibly. Sophia had gained weight, wore too much makeup trying to hide tiredness. Her designer dress was expensive but ill-fitting. She clung to Marcus's arm possessively, even though he barely seemed to notice her presence. Ms. Morgan. Marcus extended his hand, smiling. Thank you for agreeing to meet. Elena stood, taking his hand. His grip was firm, professional. He looked directly into her eyes with no recognition whatsoever. Mr. Blackwell. Her voice was steady, giving nothing away. Please, sit. She had changed everything. Her hair color was darker now, professionally dyed. Colored contacts turned her brown eyes gray. She'd lost weight, gained muscle, carried herself completely differently. Her voice was lower, more controlled. She'd even had minor cosmetic work done, subtle changes to her nose and jawline. Emma Laurent was dead. Elena Morgan had risen from her ashes. This is my wife, Sophia, Marcus gestured. Sophia's eyes were suspicious, studying Elena too carefully. Mrs. Blackwell. Elena nodded coolly, not offering her hand. They sat. David distributed presentation materials. Elena let the silence stretch, watching Marcus shift slightly, uncomfortable with not being in control. Your firm has made impressive strides, Marcus began. The Greenfield Tower project was remarkable. Similar in concept to a design I developed years ago, actually. Elena's blood ran cold, but her face remained impassive. He was claiming credit for her work even now, even to her face. Is that so? She said softly. I'd be interested to see your original designs. For comparison. Marcus's smile faltered slightly. They're proprietary, of course. Of course. Elena's smile didn't reach her eyes. She opened her portfolio and slid several documents across the table. I've reviewed your firm's recent projects, Mr. Blackwell. You've had some challenges lately. Marcus's jaw tightened. His firm had lost 3 major contracts in the past year. Elena knew this because she'd orchestrated it, quietly, carefully, using her connections to steer clients elsewhere. The market has been difficult, Marcus said carefully. Indeed. Elena leaned back. Which is why I'm surprised you're interested in partnering with us. Morgan Architectural Dynasty doesn't typically collaborate with firms that are struggling. Sophia's face reddened. We're not struggling. The Riverside development fell through, Elena interrupted smoothly. The Morrison Tower was cancelled. And I heard the Westfield contract was terminated early due to budget overruns and delays. Marcus's expression darkened. You've done your homework. I always do. Elena's gaze was ice. But I'm not here to discuss your failures, Mr. Blackwell. I'm here because I'm acquiring your largest competitor, Sterling and Hayes. Once that deal closes, your firm will be insignificant in the market. The words landed like bombs. Marcus went pale. Sophia gasped. Unless, Elena continued, you have something of value to offer. Which brings me to my proposal. She slid another document across the table. I'm prepared to acquire 49% of Blackwell and Associates. You'll retain majority control, but Morgan Architectural Dynasty will have significant influence over operations, staffing, and project decisions. Marcus stared at the contract. You want to buy half my company? Not half. 49%. You'll still be in charge. Elena's smile was sharp. Technically. This is insulting, Sophia hissed. Marcus, we don't need. Be quiet, Sophia, Marcus snapped, still reading the contract. His wife recoiled, hurt and anger flashing across her face. Elena watched their dynamic with clinical interest. No love there. No partnership. Just resentment and regret. Marcus looked up, meeting Elena's eyes. Why? Why would you want a stake in a firm you just called struggling? Elena tilted her head. Because I collect valuable things, Mr. Blackwell. Your firm, despite its recent problems, has potential. Under proper management, it could be profitable again. Proper management, Marcus repeated, his voice tight. Your decisions have been poor lately, Elena said bluntly. Overexpansion, bad investments, choosing style over substance. You need guidance. Marcus's hands clenched on the table. Elena recognized the gesture. He was furious but trying to hide it. She'd seen it before, years ago, though never directed at her. I need time to consider, Marcus said finally. You have 24 hours. Elena stood, signaling the meeting was over. After that, the offer expires. I'll move forward with Sterling and Hayes, and your firm will be irrelevant within 2 years. She gathered her materials, nodded to David. As she walked toward the door, Marcus called out. Ms. Morgan? Elena paused, not turning. Yes? Have we met before? You seem familiar. Elena's heart pounded, but when she turned, her face was serene. I have one of those faces, Mr. Blackwell. I'm sure we haven't met. She walked out, leaving Marcus staring after her, confusion written across his features. In the elevator, David exhaled. He didn't recognize you. No. Elena's hands trembled slightly. She pressed them flat against her thighs. He didn't. How do you feel? Elena considered the question. How did she feel, sitting across from the man who had destroyed her, who had stolen her work and her trust, watching him not know her face? Powerful, she said finally. I feel powerful. The elevator doors opened. Elena walked out into the sunlight, pulling on designer sunglasses. Behind her, in that conference room, Marcus was probably panicking, scrambling to figure out how to save his failing firm. He had no idea that his salvation was actually his destruction. That every move Elena made from here was designed to bring him to his knees. She climbed into her Mercedes. David took the driver's seat. Where to, Ms. Morgan? The office. We have work to do. Elena looked out the window as the car pulled into traffic. Phase 1 was complete. Marcus had seen her, talked to her, and had no idea who she really was. Now came Phase 2. And it would be so much more devastating than he could imagine. The trap tightens. 23 hours later, Marcus's lawyer called. He was accepting Elena's offer. Elena sat in her corner office, overlooking the city from the 40th floor. She held the phone to her ear, listening to the lawyer outline the terms, and smiled. Excellent, she said. I'll have my team prepare the final paperwork. We can close by the end of the week. After the call, she stood at the window. From here, she could see Blackwell and Associates building, several blocks away. Smaller than hers. Less impressive. Soon, she would own half of it. She would have access to everything. Files, finances, employee records. She would see exactly how deep Marcus's corruption ran. And then, she would expose him. David entered with coffee. Congratulations, Ms. Morgan. Phase 2 complete. Not yet. Elena took the coffee, sipped it black. This is just the beginning. I need you to dig into every project Blackwell's firm has worked on for the past 5 years. Every contract, every design, every submission. Looking for something specific? Proof, Elena said. Proof that he's been stealing designs all along. I can't be the only one he used. David nodded, making notes. And when we find it? We build a case. Quietly, carefully. And when the time is right, we present it to the architectural board, the clients, the media. Elena's reflection stared back at her from the window, hard and determined. I'm going to destroy his reputation so completely, he'll never work in this industry again. And Sophia? Elena's expression darkened. She made her choice. She'll fall with him. Over the next 3 weeks, Elena integrated herself into Blackwell and Associates. She attended meetings, reviewed projects, made suggestions that improved efficiency. She was professional, brilliant, impossible to criticize. Marcus found himself impressed despite himself. Elena Morgan was everything he'd hoped for in a business partner. Sharp, innovative, driven. She was saving his firm. He also found himself attracted to her. The way she commanded a room, the intelligence in her eyes, the confidence in every gesture. It was intoxicating. Sophia noticed. She grew more jealous, more suspicious. She showed up at the office unannounced, demanded Marcus take her to lunch, made snide comments about Elena. "There's something wrong with her," Sophia hissed one evening after Elena had left a late meeting. "Something off." "You're being paranoid," Marcus said, barely looking up from his work. "I'm serious, Marcus. The way she looks at you. The way she looks at me. It's like she knows something." "Knows what?" Marcus was irritated. "Stop being ridiculous." Sophia left angry, slamming the office door. Marcus sighed, rubbing his temples. His marriage was a disaster. Had been for years. He'd stayed because leaving seemed too complicated, too expensive. But lately, he found himself thinking about it more. Especially when Elena was around. He pulled up her company profile on his computer. Elena Morgan. Age 32. Harvard MBA. Built her company from nothing in just 5 years. No personal information available. No photos from before 3 years ago. Something about her nagged at him. That sense of familiarity. The way she sometimes looked at him, like she could see straight through him. Marcus shook his head. He was being paranoid like Sophia. Elena was just a brilliant businesswoman who'd seen an opportunity and taken it. Nothing more. But late that night, working alone in his office, Marcus found himself staring at an old photo on his desk. It was from years ago, before everything fell apart. Before Emma disappeared. Emma, laughing at something he'd said, her face bright with joy and trust. Marcus had tried to forget her. Tried to convince himself he'd done what was necessary. But the guilt never fully went away. Sometimes he wondered where she'd gone, if she was okay, if she ever thought about him. He picked up the photo, about to put it in a drawer, when something caught his eye. Emma's expression in the photo. The shape of her smile. He looked at Elena's professional headshot on his computer screen. Looked back at Emma's photo. No. They looked nothing alike. Different hair, different eyes, different everything. But something in the smile. Marcus shook his head firmly. He was losing his mind. Emma was gone. Elena was Elena. He put the photo away and turned off his computer. If he'd looked closer, if he'd trusted his instincts, he might have seen the truth. Might have had time to prepare, to protect himself. But he didn't. And by the time he realized who Elena Morgan really was, it would be far too late. Because Emma Laurent hadn't just survived. She'd evolved. And she was about to remind Marcus Blackwell exactly what he'd destroyed 5 years ago. The hunter had become the hunted. And the trap was almost ready to spring.